Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS, presenting to you the daily quiz for 19th of December 2022. But before we begin, let me remind you to join our official Telegram channel by clicking on the link given in the description box below. Now let us begin and take a look at the first question for today. Which of the given statements best describes the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana? Option A, it is a conditional cash transfer scheme for pregnant and lactating women of 19 years of age or above for the first live birth. Option B, it is a safe motherhood intervention under the National Rural Health Mission launched to promote institutional delivery. Option C, it is a scheme that entitles all pregnant women delivering in public health institutions to absolutely free and no expense delivery, including cesarean section. Option D, it is a conditional cash transfer scheme for pregnant and lactating women of 19 years of age or above for each live birth. What is the context? See, various government schemes that appear in the news become important for our prelims exam. And there is a reference to the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana in this article in PIB today and hence this question. See, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana is a maternity benefit program by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. And under this scheme, a cash incentive of rupees 5,000 is provided to pregnant women of 19 years of age or above for the first live birth, right? This incentive is provided in 3 installments and it is to be claimed within 150 days, 180 days and at childbirth respectively. See, the first installment is given on an early registration of the pregnancy at any Anganwadi centers. And the second is given after 6 months of pregnancy. And the third is given when the childbirth is registered and the child has received the first cycle of vaccination. This scheme was launched to provide a partial wage compensation to the women for wage loss that they faced during childbirth. Another objective of this scheme was to ensure right conditions for safe delivery and good nutrition and feeding practices. From this, we know that it is a conditional cash transfer scheme and the beneficiaries are pregnant women of 19 years or above and it can be availed for the first live birth only. Therefore, statement A would be the right answer. Statement B here describes the Janani Suraksha Yojana and the statement C describes the Janani Shishu Suraksha Karyakram. D cannot be the right answer because it says each live birth, while this cash transfer will be made only for first live birth. Moving on to question number 2. Consider the following statements with respect to District Mineral Foundation Scheme or DMF scheme. Number 1. DMFs are statutory authorities that a state government sets up in districts affected by mining. Number 2. DMFs are responsible for implementing the Pradhan Mantri Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana. Number 3, it is funded by mining companies through contribution of a certain percentage of their royalty amount for mining leases. How many of the given statements is or are correct? What is the context? This article in the Hindu newspaper today states that Keonjhar in Odisha is India's highest recipient of funds under the District Mineral Foundation scheme with rupees 8,840 crores. So what exactly is this DMF scheme? DMFs are statutory authorities that a state government sets up in districts affected by mining activities. Their legality is derived from Section 9B under the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act of 1957 and its amendment in the year 2015. Also note that these DMFs or District Mineral Foundations were instituted in the year 2015. The primary goal of a DMF is to work for the welfare of those areas and also those individuals that have been impacted by mining as per state's prescription. So this DMF is also responsible for implementing the Pradhan Mantri Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana and also the other schemes in areas where mining is carried out. This is to ensure the welfare of the areas and also people affected by mining related operations. And this DMF is funded through the contribution from miners. How? It is funded by mining companies through contributions of 10 to 30% of their royalty amount for mining leases. So coming back to our question, statement number 1 is correct. Statement number 2 is also correct. They are responsible for implementing the PMKKY. And statement number 3 is also correct because DMF is funded by mining companies through a contribution of 10 to 30% of their royalty amount for mining leases. Therefore, the right answer would be option C. Moving on to question number 3. How many of the given statements is or are correct with respect to United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification? Number 1. It is the sole legally binding international agreement linking environment and development to sustainable land management. It is one of the 3 Rio Conventions. India has hosted 3 editions of UNCCD Conference of Parties or COP. Why this question? This article in the Hindu newspaper today has a reference to the UNCCD and hence this question. See, this UNCCD was established in the year 1994. This is a legally binding environment convention. The UNCCD obliges national governments to take measures to tackle the issue of desertification. As its name suggests, India in the year 1996 ratified this UNCCD. The goal of UNCCD is to combat desertification, restore degraded land and soil, including the land affected by desertification, drought and floods, and strive to achieve a land degradation neutral world by the year 2030. Now coming back to our question, statement number 1 is correct. It is the sole legal binding international agreement which links environment and development to sustainable land management. Statement number 2 is also correct. It is one of the 3 Rio Conventions, the other 2 being Convention on Biological Diversity or UNCBD and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change or UNFCCC. Statement number 3 here becomes incorrect because India hosted the UNCCD COP14, that is the 14th edition of Conference of Parties in the year 2019 for the first time and the only time so far. So 3 would be incorrect. Therefore, the right answer to our question would be option B, 2 statements only. Moving on to question number 4. The Bru tribe is recognized as particularly vulnerable tribal groups in which of the following states? Number 1, Assam. Number 2, Tripura. Number 3, Mizoram. Select the correct code. Why this question? This snippet from the Hindu newspaper today talks about investments being made in developmental projects in Tripura and Meghalaya and hence a question on tribes of this region. So here we will discuss about the Bru people who are also known as Riangs, who are one such tribes that we've seen in the news frequently due to the Bru refugee crisis. See, this is the issue of Bru tribes who were made to flee Mizoram and settle down in Tripura. The Bru tribe is spread across the northeastern states of Tripura, Assam and also Mizoram, but they have been classified as particularly vulnerable tribal groups only and only in Tripura. Therefore, option C would be the right answer. Now let us take up a previous year question from Prelims paper 2017. In the context of Indian history, the principle of diarchy refers to option A, division of the central legislature into 2 houses. Option B, introduction of double government, that is central and state governments. Option C, having 2 sets of rulers, one in London and another in Delhi. Option D, division of the subjects delegated to the provinces into 2 categories. To answer this question, we turn back the pages of history and see the Government of India Act of 1919. When we go back to the Government of India Act of 1919, we see that it provided for diarchy in provinces. That is, the provincial subjects were classified into 2 parts, that is transferred and reserved subjects. So the right answer to our question here would be option D. Now let us take up the fact of the day for today, which is INS Mormugao. What is the context? This article in the Indian Express newspaper today says that our Defence Minister has commissioned INS Mormugao in the Indian Navy in Mumbai. This INS Mormugao is a P-15B stealth guided missile destroyer. The ship has been named after an important port city in Goa, that is Mormugao. And also it has been commissioned one day before the Goa Liberation Day. Let me know in the comment section when is Goa Liberation Day celebrated. Now more about this INS Mormugao. This is propelled by 4 powerful gas turbines and it can achieve a maximum speed of 30 knots. This ship has approximately 75% indigenous content. Also, it becomes important to note that this ship has state of the art weapons and sensors like surface to surface and also surface to air missiles. It has been equipped with Barak 8 surface to air missile and BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles for shore and sea based targets. And also, it has 70-kilometer medium range surface missile system, torpedo, and anti rocket launchers. Like we discussed earlier, INS Mormugao is the second of Project 15B destroyers built by Mazagaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited. The first one was INS Vishakhapatnam, which was commissioned into the Indian Navy in November 2021, and then came INS Mormugao, and the other two vessels which are a part of this project will be named after two other Indian cities, Impal and Surat. That is all for today. Thank you for being with us. Keep watching and keep learning.